Hi guys, in this video I'll discuss an important literary movement that is Surrealism that started after the World War One. Okay, so let's get started. Now, this term surreal it was coined by this French poet or writer Guillaume Apollinaire in reference to the idea of an independent reality existing beneath our conscious reality, and that is unconscious. Okay, now it was an artistic and literary movement. Artistic means it started in the painting and also in prose, novel or poetry writing in France during 1920s is after the First World War and continued just before the Second World War. Okay. Now the cause was it emerged as a reaction against the destruction of World War One wrought by rationalism of the Enlightenment period. Okay. And they wanted to repair the damage caused by the horrors of World War One by making people free spiritually and psychologically. Now their argument was that if the reason and logic that has been going on till World War One, if it leads to war or horror like World War One, so what's the use of rationalism or logic or reason? Okay, so they started arguing about it because in the art, the conventional art, there is this reason and logic. Everything was based on that. That started in the Enlightenment period. Okay, even the romantic poet they started focusing on emotion, but everything was more focused on logic and structure and the proper manner, this kind of thing. So there is this norm and a structure, so they wanted to get rid of those things. Their objective was they were interested in the Freudian idea. Now the main thing was that during this time the Freudian idea of conscious, subconscious, unconscious came. So before that people didn't have this idea about what is unconscious or is subconscious. Freudian idea of unconscious mind is the source of artistic creativity. This was their argument. If you know that Descartes, the famous philosopher, so he argued that I think therefore I am. So it means that he focuses on the idea that because I'm conscious, that is why I exist. Okay, so he told that our conscious mind contributed to a self. But when this idea of unconscious, subconscious came, if you read the psychologist Lacan's famous quote, I am or I do not think, so it's the against this quote of I think therefore I am. So it means that when Lacan says, I am or I do not think, it means that our subconscious or our unconscious mind contributed a lot to make or to constitute ourselves. So our mind is compared to an iceberg. So the tip of the iceberg is our conscious mind. So it's very small that constitute ourselves. But the rest of the mind, the bulk of the part of this mind, that is hidden as in the form of unconscious or subconscious, that we do not have any idea. Okay, the basic idea was to merge internal world and the subjective reality into one awesome reality, that is surreality. So first they were against this use of rationalism in the art or in the poetry, in the painting, and because the reason was they are heavily influenced by this idea of unconscious. Okay, now Dadaism and Surrealism. So first Dadaism emerged as an anti-art movement. So they started first, and from this Dadaism later Surrealism branched out. So first existed Dadaism and then Surrealism branched off from Dadaism. So Dadaism was overtly political anti-art movement defying logic and reason against World War One. Like the meme cultures today we have, so this is the same kind of Dadaism movement. Okay, so they started mockery against the conventional art. Okay, it was the key aspect. Surrealism focused on positive things. They started juxtaposing subconscious and irrationality, and it was their key aspect. So these two movements was same, but Surrealism was different in terms of their ideas. So they started focusing more on positive things. Okay, so they use technique of automatism. So it is a technique that kind of stream of consciousness, so an act of automatic uncensored recording of chaotic thoughts and images that erupt into the mind of artists. So it focuses on the idea that whatever comes into your head, you just capture those ideas, capture the thoughts, and use those whatever you are doing. If you are writing, use those. If you are painting, use those. Okay, so it focused on art being more abstract, less analytical, because our subconscious relies on emotion, not analytical things, not logic or reason. Okay, and second was this frottage and grattage. This technique was used in painting to produce partial images, where the viewers would have to explore the other missing details. So it didn't entail the complete details of the images, so it contained partial detail. Okay, and the other details as a viewer you have to find those. Okay, and the Surrealism in literature. In writing, the impact of Surrealism we find in terms of using dreamlike or fantastic stories. So as opposed to using structure setting, Surrealism they started focusing on using non-linear timelines, abstract ideas, okay, free association. These movement was just before postmodern era, and using nonlinear timelines, it was one of the main facets of postmodern era. Okay, so this is what we find in this movement. And the second was the use of juxtaposition. We'll find juxtaposition in surreal poetry, okay, or images, metaphors. If you see this poetry, the dark poet, the poem's title is Dark Poet. This poem juxtaposes the poet with the breast, and that is quite irrational. Okay, so it's a kind of surreal thing. The next poem, if you see, these lines have been taken from the poem Freedom of Love. See the irrationality in images about his wife and a wood, an hourglass, or teeth of a tiger. None of these images have any relation, so they have been just irrationally put together to demonstrate that the mind of the poet and the situation of the reality in which he is living. Okay, so kind of irrationality they used. So their main focused on unconscious mind that is fractured, so that has no logic, that has no structure, that is not linear. So when we think, we do not think in a linear way, like the stream of consciousness concept we have had. On time we are stuck to one thing, in the next moment we start thinking about different thing, that's completely, there is no relation you'll find, but as a whole it reflects ourselves. Okay, so this is the surrealism. I hope you have kind of got a hang of it. If you have any question, you can ask me in the comment section below, and you can read subconscious poetry, subconscious novel. Okay, then you'll understand in a better way. Okay, thank you for watching this video.